Hello, my name is Paul Nicholson and this is Inside World Football. We're in Lausanne today to meet with Michel Zenroufinen, former General Secretary of FIFA, who resigned in 2002 following the World Cup. In 2010, Zenroufinen was caught in a sting by undercover reporters from the Sunday Times. In that sting, Zenroufinen was caught talking about vote collusion between Spain, Portugal, Qatar and Russia. A vote collusion that he now believes was fabricated. Michel Zenroufinen, thank you for talking to Inside World Football.
Welcome.
First question really that we have for you is, if you're looking at the global picture and the investigations that are currently undergoing and the whole furore around the bid investigations and whether any form of corrupt or unethical practice has taken place, are you surprised at the way the press has jumped on this and the way that the investigations have been going? And what's your impression of the scale that this has grown into?
Well, I'm not really surprised, actually. You know that we are at the eve of a very important FIFA Congress in Sao Paulo. And obviously, whenever there is a Congress, there are a lot of political maneuvers which are made before the FIFA Congress. When I was working for FIFA, it was absolutely usual. So it's in a way logical that that people use that forum to put in the press some information that may be true or not, but it's all what has been said needs to be evidenced, of course.
If we go back to 2010, you were the subject of a sting operation by the Sunday Times and two journalists from the Sunday Times. A number of things came out from that sting which were quite, well, groundbreaking, revolutionary, explosive, call it what you will at the time. Could you take us through the process of that sting and how the timescale and how you were approached in the first instance and what happened?
You see, this is interesting because this story back in 2010 shows how press or some press works whenever very hot matters like the bidding for a World Cup are at stake. At that time, there was an alleged organizing committee that had hired an alleged marketing agency that was in charge of collecting information to support a bid, and the so-called agency had contacted me to act as consultant on their behalf, which I had accepted. And I had at that time collected some information by using my network as to who was actually supposed to vote in favor of who. And this information at that time has been totally misused. So this is, I would say, the first side. The second side being that some information that are collected sometimes by press people or by people acting on respective associations or bid committees are sometimes collected of illegal manner, as was the case in 2010 regarding my particular appointment as alleged consultant.
Who did you think they were representing when they approached you? I mean, they approached you directly.
They did, yes, absolutely.
Who did they say that they were representing, or who did you believe they were representing?
At that time, I thought that they were representing the bid committee of a country which is not European.
Okay, fair enough. Part of the information, and the most explosive part of the information, was the allegations of collusion between Russia, Qatar and the Spain-Portugal joint bid and some form of vote swapping. Where did you get this information from?
You see, this is very interesting because actually I got the same information from two different sources, one in Africa and one in Europe. And looking back at that situation at that time, I have now the certitude that this information has been actually fabricated and provided to me by people who wanted me to forward this information to the bid committee that I was allegedly representing as acting as consultant for their marketing agency.
Did you ever present this information as factual information?
Never. Never. I mean, it's impossible in that kind of business to have facts. You just have to rely on information that you collect from sources that you think
Do you
they are
believe
viable.
that the European connection was working on behalf of the big committee and that the whole big committee knew that at the time?
It's very difficult to know. You know, the difficulty of all that bidding process back in 2010 was that there were actually two bids together, and with associations that were actually trying to work together in exchange of voting for each other for the first of the two World Cups. They would get the support of the others for the second World Cup, and that was the first time that actually FIFA had to decide to give a World Cup to countries for two successive World Cups, and that has made the whole matter much more complicated than was the case before, when there was only one World Cup to be attributed. So given that people were actually exchanging information between themselves and trying to negotiate the support of the other associations against some support for the second one, that made the whole story extremely complicated and led to a lot of rumors.
I mean, obviously, you can see why people would fabricate a dirty tricks campaign, whether it's ethical or not. I mean, obviously, you were General Secretary of FIFA. How much of a breach of the FIFA ethics code would this be?
The question is, where is the limit and when are the limits overtaken? And it's very difficult to say. We had a lot of rumors, and the problem for FIFA is to know exactly if these rumors correspond to reality. So every fact that is actually announced to the press or to FIFA has to be evidenced, and this is the whole difficulty of the process. You can try to divulgate wrong information. You can try to explain to a guy that he will receive, if he's supporting you, an interesting function within the organization at some stage. All that, at the end of the day, is not illegal and can be accepted. Where there is a clear limit is whenever money is distributed. And I do hope that if money has been distributed by any of the candidates, because right now the rumors, they are all concentrating on a single country, and for me this is totally unfair, because I am sure that there has been some attempts of pressure, let's say, not only for that specific World Cup, but for all of them. All that should be actually stopped until there is a clear evidence provided by the investigation committee that has been put in place to clear all that situation.
But in terms of an ethical breach, if it was proved, that would be a major ethical breach. Yes.
Then, of course, then sanctions should have to be taken. The question having to be what kind of sanctions can you take? In such situation, the disciplinary regulations of FIFA provide for a whole catalogue that can be applied very freely by the disciplinary committee of FIFA, and that may include absolutely any sanctions, because the list is pretty big. The question has again to be, you can only do that if you are absolutely sure that the body that you want to sanction has effectively infringed the regulations to such extent that they deserve that sanction, because you can imagine what the reaction of that body will be. Depending the sanction you take, that can lead to a legal battle for years.
The African connection and the European connections that you had, are they still operational within federations today?
I don't know. You know, I have left FIFA back in 2002. I am following very closely what is going on, of course, with all that, because this has been my life for 16 years. I am still very much involved in football. The only thing that I know is that one of the persons I spoke to in a bid committee has actually left that bid committee and go back to the press from where he was actually coming. So that's interesting, you see, because you can see that connection between some press articles or press information that come allegedly from football, and then some functionaries within the football organizations that are actually press people that have been put there to provide the press with some information. So it's all pretty delicate, and to some extent also something that contradicts ethics.
Do you think that the press were complicit in this sting in terms of they knew that the probably wasn't an awful lot of substantial truth that they could get from this, but it was a great story for their bid committee.
Yeah, you know, everybody works for himself. So FIFA is now trying to put their house in order, which is fine and which is legitimate and normal. And if you put a press hat, of course, your interest is not to report about an organization that is going well, but is to report about an organization that has a lot of problems. And then to be able to sell your information, you need to get some. So how do you get some information when you are a specific press? You try to infiltrate a football organization by putting someone of your people there to collect some information, or you possibly fabricate some information that you try to get confirmed by a football organization that could be of good faith. It's the world is like that.
But these allegations of the vote collusion were led to questions in the English House of Parliament. I mean, that was a phenomenal step from what was a private conversation to suddenly becoming something of almost natural, well, certainly of national interest. Do you believe that that information was extracted from you, or that you were put to a position legally to for you to say those things?
No, but this information did not came from me alone. I mean, there were in the whole world people reporting that there were collusions between some bid committees.
But it was your statement that really blew it open. It went from whisper to, okay, well, this is a respected guy. Yeah, it was your authority really that gave it credence.
I don't think that when I made my it was not a statement, by the way. It was I was reporting information that I had collected from my network, and it made the whole rumors that were around more credible, and that's at that time the reason why there were a lot of discussions about the way such collisions could have been made. In the meantime, as you have seen in the whole world, there have been some discussions about not only that, but much worse than that actually, and all that actually leads back to the situation where there were some people have interest to put in question a decision that has finally been taken by FIFA back in 2010. I can absolutely imagine that the associations that were actually beaten at that moment have the right to know whether everything has been done correctly.
From the 2010 approach by these investigative journalists, did they follow the letter of the law when they approached you? Did they break the law anywhere, to a degree that the information that they received could not be used?
Of course they did. In Switzerland, that's for sure, because the way the declarations that I had made, and which were basically informal statements that I made as part of the discussions I had with them regarding my role as consultant, they were recorded illegally, because you cannot record someone in Switzerland without having the right to do so and the agreement of the person concerned. So there is no doubt it was illegal, as was their behavior towards other people illegal as well. But you see, that's again a big difference between the approach of journalism, whether you do that in England or whether you do that in Switzerland, because in England such an approach is apparently authorized, whereas in Switzerland it is forbidden. So you have to live with that, and at the end of the day that leads back to what I said before about the press that needs to do all what it can to get some information, or to get at least some rumors that they can sell to the public.
Obviously you knew a lot of the people through your work with FIFA in the past. When you were approached by these people, did you check their veracity back with other contacts you had within the business?
Yes, actually, of course. First of all, I checked the existence of the agency that had contacted me, and that agency was existing. It was very interesting the way that had been done. But of course, whenever contacting people to see what information could be collected at the time, I was asking these people whether they knew the agency, which was not the case.
Michel Zimrafine, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you to you.